I mean, there's lots of ways you could feel love, even if it's not romantic. There's so many things in this world that could encourage and inspire you. Your passions in life, your friends, your family, your pets, the things that you're interested in. You find love everywhere. And if you're giving up, I mean, I know exactly how you feel. You're like, "Oh, I'm done." Like, I even came to a point where I was like, "Maybe I'm just not gonna get married at all. Like, I'm good by myself." It's a scary thing to have a family and have responsibilities. I've been there. Like, I've been there exactly. But like I said, if you hold yourself off from the things that are meant for you, just probably not right now, but in the future, if you hold yourself off, it's gonna take a longer time for you to get there. So as early as you can push aside those boundaries, those walls that you've put up, it's gonna be easier and smoother for you to reach that blessing, like what I said. So
Some of you might have noticed this voice. I mean, what a way to start this episode. This is Christine. Christine and we talked beginning of the year in episode 18. And just a few months later, things changed drastically. Let me say it like this. I don't want to get into detail yet, but she went from getting ghosted, having depressions, feeling lost, to the happiest person you can imagine. And it's crazy what just a few months can make with a human being and what actually can happen in just a few months. And everyone who is in a long distance and or multicultural relationship knows most probably exactly what I'm talking about. In just 2 weeks or 2 months or 5 months, everything can just change. And I feel like sometimes for us, the emotions, the feelings we are feeling, they're a little bit more intense for us than for others, because most probably your significant other is sitting on the other side of the world, or you do have some cultural issues because you're trying to match two cultures. And this is very overwhelming. This can be a lot at some point, and a lot to handle, a lot to take care of. And then suddenly, just a couple of weeks later, things just look differently. And this is exactly what happened to Christine. And as I said before, I don't want to get into detail. If you'd like to know what happened exactly the past few months, listen to this episode. A lot of things were going on in your life, Christine. And it's just crazy how things can change from staying strong, still believing in love, to where you are at right now. So I'm curious to learn a little bit more about that. But for everyone who doesn't know you yet, please just go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
okay, hi everyone. I am so glad to be back again here. So, thank you for having me back. International Love Story. It's so nice to be around you all. But yeah, for those who don't know me, hello. Hi, my name is Cristin and I am a content creator. I make content about long distance relationships and faith, and you can find me via YouTube on Cristin Cares, and you can also see me across other platforms on social media like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or whatever. You just search Kristen Cares. What I do on the side when I'm not making content is I teach. I'm a teacher. So I'm a dance teacher and a fitness instructor, and that's my job. But I love sharing long distance relationship topics, stories, or anything to help people with and give advices and even prayer for those who need it.
Your life changed is drastically the wrong word,
I guess it's okay.
and in a positive way, drastically in a positive way, um, because the last time we spoke, so for everyone who listened to the episode with Christine, from February 2021, so February this year, knows that Cristin went through a very rough time. She thought she met the love of her life, but then she got ghosted. So he ghosted her, and she's also talking about that on her YouTube channel. She's also talking about this on her Instagram account. And what I just love about your attitude in general is that you still kept on believing in love. You still kept on believing that long distance relationship can work, and you still created long distance relationship content. So my question before we head into like where you are at right now is, where did you get that faith that things will eventually turn around for you?
Wow, that's a big question. That's like a Miss Universe type of question. No, but really, it's simple. Like, I got my hope from God. That's the generic answer that I would always tell anybody. And believe it or not, it's my faith in Jesus. And whenever I'm always going through tough times and things like this, struggles in love, struggles at work, struggles in relationships, struggles with myself, there's always a hope for me to cling on to, which is Jesus. And it's something that I like sharing to other people because I don't want to just keep that for myself. And they call it the good news or the gospel. That's what people say. Because it is a good news. And when you have a good news, don't you want to share it to other people? Don't you want to like proclaim to the whole world that you have that good news and you have that hope? So, um, that's what keeps me going. And if I didn't have that hope on Him, I would probably be found in a dark pit in my life. And I'm not a stranger to depression. I'm not a stranger to suicidal ideation. Those things have happened to me, panic attacks and things like that. If I didn't have this hope to cling on to, I would probably find myself somewhere where I can never be revived. So I thank God for that. I thank for the people who pray for me. I thank the community around me, the fellow believers around me who help me, and even like the word of God that I read on my Bible. Like I thank all of that for the hope that I have in love, in relationships, and LDRs, and everything that happens in my life. So yeah, thank you for asking, and it's really nice to be able to share that.
It's just that the last or one of the last sentences you said in the podcast we recorded in February was that everyone deserves to be loved, and that this is also what's going to keep on you believing in love. And I remember how we ended the conversation, and I remember how I felt after we talked. I was just like, wow, it's so inspiring, even though if all those negative things happened to you, especially when it came to your long distance relationship at that point of being ghosted, of all the emotions you've been through, you still had the strength to support not only yourself, but also to support others, and to spread hope. And I remember how emotional I was after we hang up after our conversation, because I was thinking like, hey, Cristin is such an amazing person. I mean, obviously no one deserves what happened to you. And I really hope and I just really wish the best for her. You got the best after
Oh my
all.
God.
And everything came and developed the way it
Yeah.
does. And you are where you are right now because of your strong faith, but it's also because of you believing in yourself and believing in love, and yeah, believing that the path you're going to take is going to be the right path, and no matter what, things will fall into place, which they did. And I guess everyone who's listening right now is just furious, and I'm dying as well. Let's just like let's just go back
Okay.
6 months before and today. Like, tell us what happened, Cristin. I'm so dying.
Well, okay, so for those who are just hearing this episode just now, I was ghosted in the year 2020, and I was at the brink of actually kind of telling God that maybe I'm meant to be single forever. I believed in love and I knew there's hope and everyone deserved it, but there's also this part of me where I knew some people some people's best is to live on their own. Like some people are not meant for marriage. So I was kind of telling God that time I was praying. I was like, Lord, maybe I'm meant for singleness. And maybe I'm really not meant to be with somebody. If that's what you'd like for me to have, then so be it. But like as you know now, it's not. Singleness is not God's best for me. And so what happened was, funny thing, after I got ghosted in 2020, I had those thoughts. And one of my friends who's in the Philippines asked me to chat,
Mhm.
like chit chat. I was like, sure. And she's like, yeah, let's just catch up and everything. And so I was telling her about everything that happened. So I told her about the ghosting. I told her about everything that's happened. And she could really see, like, where I was in terms of my faith and my emotions. And so she suggested, like, Kristen, um maybe you should get yourself like a discipleship group or like a small group. It's like where people do Bible studies and they're accountable for each other and then they help each other.
Mhm.
And so I was like, yeah, maybe that would be a good idea. She's like, yeah, why not? I'll pray for that. And then maybe I'll be even pray for your future spouse. I'll pray for your God's best, as we call it. And she's
Mhm.
like, you never know. And then in my head, I was like, maybe, I don't know. Like in my head, I wonder if that's even gonna happen. Like I know it could happen, but I don't know. Like, you know that feeling of you're just done with a breakup and then you're kind of like in this place where I'm done with dating for now. I'm just not going to do it. But I know it's out there. You know that feeling? So I had that feeling. And so I was telling her, okay, yeah, sure, just pray for me, whatever. And that was December 24th. She prayed for me and stuff about like a person and then like a discipleship group that could help me and everything. That was December
Mhm.
24th. And then December 25, someone greeted me Merry Christmas. And guess who that is? That's my boyfriend now, Mr. Jophet Aguilar. Shout out to you, my love. Um, he talked to me. He said Merry Christmas, like on Facebook. So that's when
Mhm.
everything started happening. It got rolling. He greeted me Merry Christmas. I never in my head once even thought that we could have like the relationship that we have now, because he was just greeting me Merry Christmas. Like what's so big about that? So I responded back and said Merry Christmas also. And it started there, and then after that whole like conversation and everything that happened there, God really showed to me the assurance about this person. Even if I've never even met him in my life, I'm like, what's going on? I felt so like at peace. I felt
Mhm.
the fear that I had prior to talking to him about like dating and men and marriage was suddenly just like plucked out of my heart. And then I was
Mhm.
covered with this overwhelming peace I can't even explain, and this assurance and clarity. It was almost like God said, "This is your husband. Take him." And I was like, "What? Like what's going on? Like girl, like I don't understand what's happening because that's never happened to me." So I had that while we were talking. I never told him anything, but I had that. I felt that, and I knew I had this like
Mhm.
holy
Mhm.
throb. I was throbbing. I don't understand. And so I had that in me, and then we just kept talking, got to know each other, and then eventually, in January, I started praying and fasting for him, because I wanted to know, like, I really wanted to know and confirm from God if this is the guy for me. Because I don't, I had this inhibition. So I'm like, I just don't want to choose a random person. Like, I want to make sure this guy is the one you want for me. And so I
Mhm.
prayed for him. I fasted for him. Fasting is like basically replacing something that you do with time with God. So it could be like eating a meal and then replace that with your time with God, or you're gonna skip eating this, or you're gonna skip watching this movie, or watching this whatever you're addicted to. Anyway,
Mhm.
I didn't know that he was also fasting for me at that time. So we
Mhm.
were both praying for each other. We didn't know. I didn't know he was praying for me. He didn't know I was praying for him. And what happened was God showed me in a confirmation even deeper that this guy is the guy when he did something. And that something was one of my prayers way way back when I was 27 or so, like 2018. after I got rebaptized, I told God that these are the characteristics I want in a man, in my future spouse, and this is the thing that I want him to do for me to know that it's him. And these are my non-negotiables, and these are my negotiable characteristics. So I prayed that, and I remember in my head I even wrote a list down on my phone to just make sure that if I meet someone, do they check it, whatever. And then, so one of the things that he did that made me really know that it's him was he asked my parents permission to be my partner, and he did that without me knowing. And that's one of my prayers in the list that I had for a future spouse before. I said to the Lord that if I do meet my future spouse, I would want him to ask my parents' permission to be my partner. And none of my ex boyfriends did that on their own. Like, if someone ever did that, I had to push or force them to do it. But he did it on his own. He was just my friend, and we weren't together, and we were just praying for each other without us knowing. I didn't know. He called my parents one day. I was out, I think, working, and he called them, my mom and dad, and asked them if he could, be in a relationship with me and all that stuff. So when he laid down his intention to be my boyfriend in January, that's something that I really cried about, because I knew at that moment when he laid down his intention that it was gonna be him. Because in my fasting I prayed, if Jopet Aguilar is the one you want for me, have him lay down his intention to me on or before April 15, 2021. Have him ask my parents' permission to be my partner. And if he doesn't do all that, then he's not the one. and, then, and then he did all that. So when he laid down his intentions, he revealed to me that he was fasting for me, and that he asked my parents already, and that I was just shocked the whole time. And so that happened in January 2021. And then we just kept doing our online dating for the next 4 or 5 months. We were online dating. We would have weekly Thursdays, we call them. So we'd have online dates like normal relationships do. We'd watch movies online. We'd add like Bible studies on every week. He would lead me through it and pray for me. And we would play games like normal couples, and we would send each other gifts. So we did like the whole LDR journey for about 5 months. And then we took a leap of faith and decided to meet, even if there was a pandemic. We decided to meet. And originally, he was going to be the one coming to Nova Scotia. But since our rules here in Nova Scotia and Canada are so strict at that time, it was more logical for me to be the one to go over there in British Columbia. So what happened was June 23rd, we booked a ticket for a month to be with each other, to meet each other like in person, and really get to know this person behind the screen. And I really praise God for that too, because I was like praying to, if this doesn't happen, Lord, through this pandemic, this crazy pandemic, then maybe he's not the one for me. But if you want him to be my spouse, I know it will happen. So it's up to you now. And so that whole thing was a miracle in itself, because like there's so many restrictions. I had so much fear in me. Like, what if they ask me these questions, or what if blah blah blah. I only had one dose of vaccine at that time. So I wasn't fully vaccinated at that time. A lot could go wrong. But even if a lot could go wrong, it still happened. So I just kept like believing that, oh my goodness, this is it. It's crazy. And it's just been amazing. And for those who want to see the first meeting, it's actually on YouTube, because Tina's watched it, right?
I did, yeah.
So you can watch it there if you want to see the whole like scenario, like what happened, what went down, and how it's like to be in a long distance relationship and meeting that person. Feel free to watch it. You can go there.
I just love the part where he was trying to find some tiramisu for
Yeah,
you, and he couldn't find it. I was like, no.
it's my favorite. He knew it's my favorite. So it's like he was so
That
bummed
was so
when he couldn't find it, but it's okay.
that was so cute. Yeah, he was even sad about it in the beginning, but then he replaced it with, I think,
Like
with some sort
ube.
of pie,
Yeah,
no?
like ube, like a
Yeah.
purple yam. Yeah, so he got me a purple yam cake, ube. That was good. It's like a Filipino delicacy, I guess you could say.
And then the moment you guys hugged in the end, I mean, you were expecting him to come from the other
Yes.
side because you were looking in the wrong direction. He came from the back and surprised you, and you were like, when you saw him, you were like, what is going
I
on
was
here?
looking at the escalators because a lot of people were coming down the escalator, so I was like, okay, maybe he's coming through this way. And when you're meeting someone for
Mhm.
the first time, you're always like like what you have this like supreme like awareness of everything. You're kind of just like, oh, the person there, like every time someone would
Yeah.
walk in closer to me, I would have a huge smile even if I had my mask on. and then and then I would have to like die down because I realized it's not him. So every time someone would pass by, I'm like, oh no, never mind. Oh, never mind. So I was looking and looking and looking, and it's gonna be my first time seeing him, and I was kind of anxious too. Like, what if he doesn't show up? Although I knew he's gonna show up, but I was kind of like, what if he doesn't come? And so I was looking, looking, and then finally, when I turned around, he was right there, and all the emotions just like came crumbling down, and just started crying.
Mm. You were hugging each other for quite a
Oh my
while.
goodness, that video is not even like we were probably there for
I
like
know.
7 minutes crying. Hugging and crying for so long. I had to cut the video shorter.
Yeah, but it's still like when watching it, it just made me think about so many first times Nacho and I had. Nacho's sitting on
Oh,
the other side right now. Yeah.
oh.
And what you were just describing, like the moment you wondering, okay, this could be him being anxious. And because we met online, as you know, and I was waiting for him in my rental car, and every guy that passed by, I was sure that this has to be him,
Yeah.
and every time I realized, okay, no, it's not this guy I'm supposed to see for the first time in person. I was like, is he even going to
Yes.
show up? Because it, like, typical Argentinian man, it took a while for him, and he's not really always on point. So he made me wait, and I was just freaking out. It was just like such a weird feeling. But for how long did you waited for him at the airport after all?
Oh my goodness. I don't know how many minutes I stood there. Probably like, I want to say around 15 minutes or a little less, but like I was there for a while. Because I was like, oh, where is he? Where is he? Is he here? And I kept going back to my camera actually. I just cut that part, but I kept going back to my camera to see if the camera still had batteries. So I was like, I really want to make sure I take everyone with me and see this like whole thing. And if it dies, I don't know how I'm gonna record this. So yeah, I was thinking about a lot of things at that time. So when I saw him, it was all like released, like the emotions was released. Cause I had a lot of trouble too in my flight. That's for another day, but like that's a big like story too.
Okay.
So when I saw him, it was like a release of stress. It was like happiness, like tears of joy, and I'm like, this is the
Mm.
actual person. And I had him like literally turn around to like for me to see the 360 view of him.
Mm.
It's different. It's just the first thing I thought of. Wow, he's tall. Because all you see on the screen is the
Yeah,
shoulders and
he's
the
very
head.
tall. That's true. So for
Yeah.
everyone who's curious, I'm going to link the YouTube video in the side notes so you guys can watch it as well. But for me, it was just special because I kind of know what you have been through in the past, and then suddenly
Yeah.
you throw such a video like into the room kind of thing. I was like, okay, I'm dying to see that. So it took some time. I think after 5 days after you were publishing it, I sat down. I was like, okay, now I have to watch it. It was just incredible to see how happy you are. And as I said the last time we did our first recording, that you just deserve just the best in the world, all happiness and all kindness, and that you found it in this one person after all. It's just like so great to see, and I'm so happy for you. It's just ah
Thank
I feel
you.
like, I don't know, I feel with you.
Thank you so much. You know what? Like, to the people who were there with me from this whole journey, like yourself and Nacho and all the other couples who knew what I went through, I really felt the support, and I could really feel them feel what I'm feeling too. Cause even my family and friends, like those who knew what I had gone through with the ghosting and the breakup and like the whole
Mm.
shenanigan, the whole ordeal about like supposedly getting married but not
Mm.
happening. And then now finally meeting the person in the form of Jopet, like they felt it too. And some of them said that when they were watching the video, they also cried because like they know the life that I had. They know the downfalls, they know the struggles leading up to this point of just feeling
Mm.
so blessed to be able to hug this person, to see this person that is meant for me, and to looking back, like realizing that maybe that was just a lesson for me to learn. Maybe that was a way for me to help others better who's going through ghosting. Maybe I had to go through that pain so that when I meet the guy for me, I'll really know the difference, you know? And it's such a big
It
contrast.
is. It
It's
is. It
shocking.
is. It's a huge contrast. And
Yeah.
Jopet also like kind of tried to record how he's feeling in this YouTube video you published. I
Yeah.
think it was quite overwhelming for him as well. As far as I saw
Mhm.
from the video, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, because
Yeah.
he was just like super nervous. He like you could basically, even though I don't know him, I felt like what he was feeling in that moment, which was crazy because I've never seen him
Yeah.
before. I've never talked to him. But then seeing him in those little video frequencies, it was just like, okay, this guy is so excited right now and he's feeling a bunch of emotions, and you could literally see the moment you hugged that all this just fell off your shoulders and there was just pure happiness.
Yes. Like like when he was recording it, he started out with English and then he eventually diverted back to our original language, which was Tagalog. And you can really tell the like how genuinely he felt both excited and nervous and like this is it. I'm gonna meet the
Mhm.
girl, you know. So when I was watching, like I couldn't really finish that editing for quite a while. Like backstory with that editing, I was supposed to post that right when I got back, or like even while I was there, but I just couldn't. And every time I would watch the whole like sequence of frames, I would sometimes cry, and I would sometimes, like I just couldn't finish editing it. So that's how raw the emotions were, and I just really had to try my best to compact everything in like a 19-minute video. But I'm just so blessed also to be able to meet him because he's so different from my exes. He's so different from, he's just, he's a whole nother
Mm.
different. I can't even
Mm.
explain. But it's a good kind of different. And I'm so happy to be able to meet him, to finally be with him at that moment, and to meet him for the very first time. And I know out there people are still waiting to have a first time meeting with their LDR partners. And just keep on waiting. Don't lose hope. Don't quit right now, cuz sometimes right when you're on the brink or at the edge of stopping, that's when a breakthrough
Mm.
happens. So keep keep hoping, keep fighting, and just keep waiting. This thing will be over soon, and eventually you'll meet that
Mm.
person.
You were saying before that he's so different to all your exes, all the guys you used to date. Especially obviously to your last boyfriend, who decided just to ghost you, even though you had all like made kind of, no, you did arrangements already for getting married. You even had the date and everything, no, if I remember correctly.
we had
Or my
like um we had like a brief, how do you say,
Mhm.
brief plan of what's gonna go down. Like he's gonna come here, I'm gonna go get him, we're gonna get married here, and then eventually once that's settled, we're gonna go back to the Philippines, get married too. Like he wanted two weddings. So we had that. We didn't really have the date yet, but it was
Mm.
there, like there was a plan. There was a concrete plan. So, of course, when there's a concrete plan or when there's a goal that you both are aiming for, you're
Mm.
hoping for it. And then when it doesn't happen,
Devastating.
it's very devastating and also like kind of makes you feel like you wasted time or something, or you wasted energy and you invested on something so big
Mm.
and then
Mhm.
suddenly it's gone. That doesn't
Mhm.
feel good.
And in
Right?
which way is Jophet different to every
Oh my gosh.
previous boyfriend you used to date?
A whole lot. Well, where do I start? There's just so many things about him that's different from my pasts. But the very thing that really stood out to me is his love and passion for God. And we are the same in our convictions, and we are the same in our core values. In the past, I didn't really believe firmly on dating the same faith. Like for me, if you guys had different faith, it's okay. But I realized how much of an impact it had on me when we had the same belief. And Jopet and I had the same belief, had the same convictions, had the same um, mission in life, how we want to serve God, how we want to serve people, how we want to live our lives. It just aligned. And I think that's the major difference that I encountered with my past is just I liked him, he liked me, but the alignment wasn't there. And with Jopet, I saw my future with him. I saw how we could live our life years down the road. I saw how we could raise a family together. I saw how he's going to lead me as a man. I saw how he could protect me and provide for our future family. I saw these things that I didn't see in my past, plus the assurance that God gave me through my prayers and the word and the situations that happened around me that confirmed it's him. So it's the assurance that I had in him, the peace that I had in him, and the feeling of
Mm.
being home. Like in the past, I had like butterflies, I had excitement, like things you would see in
Mm.
the movies. But like the love, the real actual love that I felt from Jopet is not like the
Mm.
movies. It's warm, it's welcoming, it's safe, it's home. So I don't know. That's the best way I could explain it. It's just so different, and you will know it once you
Mm.
experience it. And I don't want to sound cliche because I used to not believe this until job had happened. But when people say, because I would ask like married couples, like, how did you know they're gonna be the person you're gonna marry? And sometimes they would always just tell me, you just know. I just know. And I'm like, I always respond kind of
Mhm.
weirdly. And I'm like, how do you just know? You can't just know. You have to get to know the person. Like, I was kind of debating in my head, like, how can you just know? And then with Jobet, that's exactly
Mm.
how I felt. I just knew. And I was kind of slapped in my face, like, see? You just know. And I was being judgmental with with like the people who were like, I just knew they were gonna be the one. But now that it happened to me, I'm kind of dumbfounded. Like I'm stunned and just whoa. I didn't know this could
Mm.
happen. This surefire clarity. I didn't know this could happen. This could be with anybody. That this is possible. So yeah, that's the difference. Hi.
How does Jophet feel about it? I mean, he knows what he knows you obviously. He knows your past and like how would he describe that feeling? Do you know?
Well, for him, it's a different
Mhm.
perspective. Like for me, I knew like from the very first few minutes of our talking that it's him. Like I had that assurance. For him, it was a gradual thing that he had to uncover with the Lord. And what happened was, of course, he had the attraction, he had the desire, but he wanted to make sure that it was gonna be the right one because he's had an experience in the past where he's like he was so sure, but it's actually not the one. And so with me, he wanted to tread carefully and really make sure that God is gonna um, lead him the right way. Like he wanted to yield to the Holy Spirit, and he didn't want to just, decide on his own. So his was
Mhm.
different, different from mine. And what happened with him was the first moment that he felt that I could be a potential wife to him, he went straight to his discipler, or the person that's like helping him with
Mhm.
Bible studies, and the person who is basically accountable for him. And that's like his leader in the group. And he asked the leader like, I have a question. Do you think I'm ready to be a husband? And I think I found a lady. He said lady. I met a lady that I feel like this could be it. And so they talked, la la la. And then the person guided. His name's Carlo, by the way. Shout out to you, Kuya Carlo, for leading Jopet. And he basically told Jopet to, of course, pray about it and to make sure that he goes through the right authorities before he plunges in, like to make sure that he's doing the right thing with God, like ask him the Lord if this is the right person. And then after that, so he was done with the leader, and he knew the authority above me were my
Mhm.
parents, and he knew that he had to go through them first. So he prayed that if he asks for me as a partner, and if they say no, then
Mhm.
it's not me. But if they say yes, then it's me. And so that confirmation, when he talked to my mom and my dad, and he asked for me, and they said yes, he knew at that moment that it was me. So both our prayers aligned without us even knowing. Me asking for a future spouse to ask my parents, and him getting that permission or a yes or a go signal
Mhm.
from my parents allowed him to really see the confirmation that God was orchestrating this relationship, that he was writing this love story that we can't control. Like, we can't control those things with our own abilities. And only a supernatural God, a God who knows the best for us, can do that for us. And it's just amazing to have this testimony that we didn't even do this on our own strengths. Like, I don't even know you're gonna show up and greet me Merry Christmas, or I didn't even know this was gonna happen. So it was just it's an amazing experience to be able to have. And for him, once that was confirmed, he knew what he had to do. And so when that was a yes, he did what he had to do. He laid down his intention to me, and he told me that he wants to pursue me and in a godly marriage. And so when he laid down his intention to be um, the man for me, I knew that we're gonna get married eventually, because
Mm.
that was it. That was the confirmation, and all we had to do is wait for the right time that God has, and obey and continue to um, get to know each other better, continue to date, continue to get our family's blessings, and all those things that happens behind the scenes towards marriage. But yeah, so his is a little different, but we both had a confirmation that was like the green light for the both of
How did
us.
your parents react exactly when he asked them if he could pursue you, or how would you say that?
Yeah, so I think, well, in our culture in the Philippines,
Mhm.
he's also Filipino. It's one of the respectful things to do is to ask the parents' blessings when you get married. But sometimes people usually do that when they're
Mhm.
together already. But he did this before we were even together. He did this like we were still friends. And my parents, seeing that kind of character from him, seeing that kind of courage, because come on, who in the right mind, you don't even know the parents, would go up to them and ask for their daughter's hand, right? So, like, how did he do that, and how can he do that? And it shows a lot of character and respect on his part. And my parents admired that. They admired the fact that he went to
Mhm.
them first. He admired the fact that he didn't rush into wanting to be with me first. And they saw that in him, and they saw his sincerity and his genuineness about me, that that he really had a pure intention. And when they saw that,
Mhm.
they liked it. And they basically permitted him and said yes, go ahead. And you may you guys may start and you may do that whole like courtship thing and that whole whatever that leads up to marriage. But yeah, it's his heart that
Mhm.
they saw in pursuing me, that he had to really deny himself, like really kind of, I guess you can say,
Mhm.
sacrifice, because it's hard to do that. Like if I had to do that to someone, that's difficult. Yeah, and so you can really see God's conviction over him, that he had an ability to do that, not by his own will, but because he was given the go signal from God as well. So there, my parents were also happy that we share the same faith. We are both Christians, and my parents are Christians as well. So they were quite happy with that. And they were also, actually, my dad used to pray that I would
Mhm.
marry a Christian man. Knowing my background, he knew that I would date whoever.
Mhm.
It's okay with me. um, I personally didn't really see anything wrong with that. Like it could work. So some people would marry different faiths and it could work in their marriage. So I don't see anything wrong. But I think for my dad specifically, he just really wanted me to marry a Christian man as well.
Yeah.
And it happened. I guess we're gonna get
W-
married
Which
somewhere down the road.
which brings us to my next question. What are your future plans?
Been to British Columbia, got to meet him and his parents, his family, his friends, his church. The next plan and the next step is for him to come over here to Nova Scotia to meet my family, friends, and my church. So hopefully, we are praying
Mhm.
that on October, he'll be able to come and visit me and have a little trip here and get to know everyone in my life and take it from there. So that's our next
So
step.
in October, him coming, and then step by step, and then you see where it's going to lead you. How was your encounter with his family?
Oh, that was good. Like, because I
Mhm.
stayed in their home, right? So I slept in their home. He slept in the couch downstairs, and then he gave up his room, so I stayed in his room. And they were really accommodating to me, and they offered their home to me. So I thanked them for allowing
Mhm.
me to stay in their
Mhm.
house for
Wow.
a month. Like that's not something easy to do.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole month. And they really opened up their doors for me. So thank you to the Aguilar family. I am so blessed that you guys allowed me in your home. And they showed me around. We went on a trip together as a family, and we were able to get to know each other much deeper. So me living in their home, I was able to get to know his family, where he came from, and how are their relationships and things like that. So yeah, I'm really thankful for the experience and everything that we went through there. And hopefully he can meet mine soon.
Hopefully in October. I'm going to cross fingers, but so far things look good, no? That he
Yes.
will be able to fly over?
Yes, hopefully with COVID and everything. I know there's like numbers are rising a little bit in BC, but in Nova Scotia we have everything under control pretty much.
Mm.
And I'm fully vaccinated. Yay. He's also fully vaccinated and his whole family, mine as well. So
Mhm.
it's good. Like on both ends, it looks like we're able to meet. The pandemic looks like it's controlled a little bit better here in Canada. So we're really just hopeful. We know that we
Mhm.
can meet in God's perfect time. We just are waiting. We're not rushing. And we're very thankful that we even have the opportunity to meet.
Mm. How are you communicating while not being together physically?
That's actually so hard. You know how we have a bun touch, like the little bracelets that
Mhm.
you buzz. Prior to meeting in person, it was very good. Like it suffices the physical touch that we both need, and both of us have physical touch as our love language. So
Mhm.
that was really important for us. We would always wear it every day. But Jobit told me that after we separated, he was looking for a different kind of touch now because he knew how to hug me, how to hold my hands and everything. So he was looking for that. And he's like,
Mhm.
it's really different. Like the buzz is different than what I remember holding you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So we still do the same Now, like, our calls have increased. He calls me every day and then sometimes 3 times in a day. Where before, prior to meeting in person, we would just call once a day, or it's okay to miss. It's okay to miss a day. But now,
Mhm.
like, we barely miss a day, and in a day we call like so many times. So I think meeting in person has been a huge impact to the both of us. Before, we weren't as, I guess you can say, clingy. I don't know if there's a better
Mm.
term for that. We're not as attached, I guess. But after we got to meet each other in person, when we separated again, we just felt like the other part of me is somewhere there, far away, and it's difficult to go through a day without seeing that person. I don't know if you experienced that with Nacho.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, every time we separated again, it was weird to get back to kind of your normal life, day-to-day life, and the other person still being 7,000 miles away. Yeah. Especially the first days after separating again, those are just the hardest.
I agree. There's like a
Yeah.
separation anxiety happening there.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I was just talking to another couple and they were thinking, so they met online as well. And then the first time they met in person in real life, like you guys, they thought it's going to be easier afterwards.
Nope. It's
Yeah.
harder.
It's harder for sure. Definitely 1000% harder. It's like it's not easy at all
I know.
after seeing each other the
As
first
much as
time.
I want to be encouraging to couples, when if you're the type of couple in your LDR that you've met online and then you
Mhm.
meet in person, after you separate again, I'm sorry, but the truth is it's harder. So I don't want to sugarcoat it because people are going to be listening to this like they are in their LDRs. It's harder, but guess what? You both will work and do your best to just maintain the relationship because now you know how it's like to be together. Now you know what it's like to be next to the person. And even if it's harder, there's the what's it called? The commitment
Mhm.
and the effort to work on this relationship is also bigger. So even if it's harder, those good things in your characters also increase. So don't lose hope, don't feel discouraged. And you're listening to this, you're like, oh no, it's gonna be harder, I'm gonna cry. Don't cry. Get a grip, it's okay. It's gonna be fine because you both are now even more convicted, even more committed to this thing.
I guess this is one of the advice you would give basically to stay strong and to pull through it. Things are not going to get easier, but eventually you're going to make it. What else is there? Advice? Any advice you like to give?
Advice. Okay, so if you're in a long distance relationship and you've been through the worst thing you could ever imagine in a long distance relationship, sometimes you go through those things to learn something from them. It doesn't always mean it's the end game, that it's the end of the road. Sometimes it just means that that chapter is going to end so that you can flip to a new page and begin a new one. And throughout that whole time, what I could tell you is that my faith really helped me have hope. So if you're in a place where you're like, I really don't know where to pull hope from, I don't know, maybe just try to see what Jesus has to offer to you. Just open your mind to it. And during those dark times when I was about to wanna die, he reminded me of this verse in Isaiah 41:10. He said, "So do not fear, for I am with you." And when those words resonated in my ears and I remembered the promise he gave me, I just stopped thinking those things, and I remembered how loved I am, and I remembered that I'm not in this life alone. So if you feel alone and if you feel like there's no more way to go, this is the end for me, then maybe you just haven't looked up. Maybe. Try looking up, try checking and seeing what he can give you, the love that he has, because it's unconditional. And that's all I can say. So Have no fear because there's hope.
I would like to end the conversation here because that's just the perfect sentence to end our little interview. It was just so great to catch up with you again, Christine, after so many months. Seeing you finally being happy, fulfilled, being loved. And I'm so excited for your next steps. And I really hope that we can catch up again, maybe in 1 year when things are moving a little bit further.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be a different story then.
So that would be amazing to have another podcast episode call. It's just like incredible thinking about the emotions and all the things you have been through and seeing where you're at right now. So it really makes me wonder what's going to come next.
What's next, guys? We don't know. The rest is yet to be written.
But you'll keep us posted, obviously.
Yes, definitely.
So for everyone who wants to get in touch with you, where could they find you?
Okay, so for those who would like to reach out, talk to me, ask for advice, or even prayer, you can find me on Cristin Cares via YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and wherever else. You can also find me on my website, CristinCares.com. But I'm always active on YouTube. And I'm always posting videos as well as posting pictures. So if you'd like to reach me, I'm most reachable via YouTube and Instagram. And if you're able to have a Facebook, then you can also find me there. So I'm looking forward to hearing from any of you guys. Or if not, me, Tina is available as well. She can contact her on her Instagram.
Exactly. I will link everything in the side notes, obviously. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, Christine. It was just great chatting to you again and knowing what's up in your life right now, how you're doing.
Thank you.
And it was great to talk to you again.
Yes, it was great catching up. Like, I haven't seen you in a while, but like seeing you and getting to talk to you about these things, knowing that you know where I started and where I am now, it just feels so amazing to have this kind of friendship in the LDR community. I'm so blessed and grateful to be here in your podcast and to share our knowledge to other people, share our experiences to other people, because at the end of the day, that's our purpose why we're doing this. We want to help.
I hope I didn't promise too much, but as you see, a lot of things can happen in just a few months. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode and I hope you like what we're doing. If you do like what we're doing, stop by on Facebook or Instagram. It's International Love Story to see more tips and advices, to see a little bit about what we are doing, and especially if you like the podcast, you would do us a huge favor if you could rate us on iTunes. Yes, guys. So, hear you soon. I also hope that I'll be able to do a few more of those bonus episodes, catching up with the couples and individuals we've talked to in the past few months. I mean, we're doing this since 1.5 years almost already, which is crazy to think about. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Please take care, and I wish you a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful night, wherever you are right now. And yeah, hear you soon. Bye.